Welcome back to Before You Buy the Show, where we give you straight up gameplay and first impressions. Today, we're finally talking about Replaced. Announced way back at E3 2021, Replaced has been on our radar for a very long time. It stood out from the indie crowd immediately. Slick presentation, a gorgeous mix of 2D sprites and 3D backgrounds, and trailers that looked absolutely incredible. But it was hard to tell what the actual game would be. Originally slated for 2022, then delayed again. For a while, it seemed like we might never get it. But it's here. I've had mixed feelings. I was hyped at times, but I also maintained a healthy skepticism. Games that look amazing and get delayed a lot sometimes end up as vaporware or a lie. I was worried this could be one of those Twohor indies with all flash and no substance. I'm really happy to report that's not the case. Replaced far exceeds expectations if you're even a little skeptical. It is absolutely excellent. At only $20, it's very fairly priced. It's an 8-horpless adventure with solid variety, an intriguing story, and excellent production values throughout. If you like cinematic platformers or Arkham-style combat, you should play this. Seriously, the combat is like Batman: Arkham Asylum on a 2D plane. If that sounds good, you'll find something to love here. The game is relentlessly linear. If you don't like linear, you won't like this. But it's very cinematic. You spend most of your time going left to right, solving puzzles, fighting enemies, watching dialogue, flashbacks, and occasional big set pieces. What I didn't allow myself to expect was how naturally it all flows, how consistently good it looks, and how fun it is. I went in thinking 24 hours tops. It's more than double that. The combat starts simple, but gets genuinely challenging after a few hours. Arkham combat on a 2D plane. That's the foundation. But new enemy types and mechanics keep it fresh. You get a pickaxe to break armor, the ability to deflect gunshots, a double jump that only works on air currents, and a hacking device to disable security systems. The game drip-feeds new ways to interact with the world, and it never gets stale. I assumed it would mostly be set in a bog-standard cyberpunk city. But there's so much more. Snowy forests, underground mines, blasted wastelands, post-apocalyptic towns. It takes a really long time before you even reach the blatantly cyberpunk locations. And they're worth the wait. They end up being some of the most visually spectacular places to explore in the entire game. And that's saying something. Replaced is beyond anything else a real feast for the eyes. The pixel art on the characters is gorgeous and fluently animated. The backgrounds have a pixelated, almost voxel look that blends perfectly with the character art. The soundtrack is synth-y and moody, exactly what you'd expect. Rarely, things can look like an explosion of random pixels, but 99% of the time this game looks absolutely beautiful. The presentation is impeccable from start to finish. If there's one thing I wasn't totally enamored by, it's the writing quality. The story structure is solid, good setups, payoffs, character arcs that make sense. Everything comes together satisfyingly by the end. But sometimes the writing feels a bit amateurish or poorly translated. There's no voice dialogue, which is surprising given the game's profile, but honestly, it's probably for the best. Some over-thought-up characters could be obnoxious with the wrong voice actor. The overall plot is essentially upgrade meets flashback and AI stuck in a human's head, learning to be human while evading the police. It works, but some moments feel weirdly goofy or forced. The game doesn't actually take itself that seriously, which I like. I was expecting dead serious and dour throughout. The counterweight is that they put you in clever, engaging scenarios, like a rat saving you from 3 flying drones. Unnecessary, maybe, but it makes the world feel real and alive. Platforming is Uncharted mixed with Inside. You get a pickaxe to grab onto cracked walls. My only major gripe is that the cracks can be really hard to notice. The visuals are busy, and sometimes those cracks get lost in the noise. The climbing is rock solid but a little slow, and jumping requires a wind-up old-school Prince of Persia style, where you press jump a half second before you actually want to leave the ground. It's stiff, but I rarely missed a jump I wanted to make. Boss fights are a genuine challenge, maybe a little too overtuned. The lack of mid-fight checkpoints is annoying. The fights are long, and there's not a lot of margin for error compared to the rest of the game. There are definite difficulty spikes. A balance pass or a checkpoint between forms would have helped. I'm fine with it, I don't oppose hard bosses, but I suspect some people won't be. Puzzles are serviceable. They keep your mind engaged without slowing things down. Combat isn't overwhelming in quantity. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes very little. It never feels tedious. The game does a great job of introducing annoying enemies and then giving you tools to deal with them. Armored guys. Eventually, you get a shockwave that knocks their armor off. Need more firepower? A special power lets you fire your pistol as much as you want for a brief period. It's not groundbreaking, but it adds a lot to the experience. I also really appreciate that they reward exploration. You can find hidden upgrades around the world, very minor, but having some kind of progression makes this feel like a real game rather than just a linear sequence of events. There's a whole hub area where you return between missions, talk to allies, strategize, and complete side quests for upgrades. The crowd scenes are elaborate, full of unique character art. It didn't need to be there, but man, does it help build the world. In the pantheon of cinematic platformers, I'm putting Replaced high up. It's maybe not as fluid as Inside or as innovative as Flashback or Out of This World, but as an audio-visual experience, it's near the top. It looks incredible from start to finish. They save some of the best stuff for last. And it's long for this genre, easily over 8 hours. Only $20. If you have Game Pass, it's there day one. If you have any patience at all for cinematic platformers, you have to play this. If you have any respect for pixel art, you have to play this. Replaced is way better than the skeptical mind will expect it to be. It's one of those rare indies that managed to live up to the hype, and then some. And though it took a while to get here, it was worth the wait. That's my opinion. What do you think? Leave a comment. If you liked this video, click like. Not subscribed? Now's a great time. We upload brand new videos every day. I'm Jazz Meat. We'll see you next time, right here on Visgams.